So U.S. politicians are being confronted, and I love it. I do. Now look, hey, listen. Be respectful about it. But we also got to call out these politicians for their hypocrisy, Democrats and Republicans. And no, this isn't Jose Vega calling out these politicians. It's not another activist calling out another politician. This is actually happening at not one, but two different airports for our everybody's favorite, well-dressed, well-groomed U.S. Senator John Fetterman, as well as Sharice Davids, the first openly LGBT Native American elected to Congress in 2018. You know what they both got in common? They both got in common of sending more bombs to Israel for this ridiculous war in Gaza, Ukraine. And hey, military conflict with Taiwan. Say it with me, folks. What could possibly go wrong? Oh, I don't know. The sequel we've all been dreading, World War III. And we'll be the ones fighting it day by day, right? Because I don't see these politicians fighting for us. They never will. So, hey, spread the word far and wide. Politicians being confronted. So let's first start off with our good friend, John Fetterman. Do you think he's going to have some wise words to say? Probably not. But he is, after all, the most handsomely well-dressed U.S. senator ever to be witnessed gracing the halls of Washington, D.C. So let's go ahead and pull up this video here.
How do you feel about what's happening in Lebanon? The bombing of Beirut. 500 people at least killed in one day. Do you have any comment on that?
So weird, dude.
Why? What's weird?
Now, on the one hand, I do like it, okay? These politicians being confronted. They should be confronted, okay? And while we do live in a day and age of a lot of uncertainty, you have to remember, politicians, U.S. senators and U.S. House representatives, your votes affect millions of Americans. And right now, our economy is an absolute free fall. And we got knocking at our door a potential world war. The third one. Hey, we'll have a whole trilogy. What could go wrong? I don't know. We all wake up one morning and you see mushroom clouds in the sky and a wall of fire coming your way. I do hope that the experts are correct and you don't feel a thing. Because I swear to God, if I'm drinking my morning coffee and I'm looking at the Chicago skyline and I see a mushroom cloud and the Sears Tower evaporates and a wall of fire is coming my way, I am going to be very, very angry. Very angry. But at that point, it won't matter because I'll be atoms, apparently.
I just want to know, what's your opinion? No one, he's never.
No, he's never off the clock. Hey, U.S. politicians, you are never on the clock, okay? Because when you go for the big boy seat, U.S. president, you're supposed to be on the clock 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Unless you're Joe Biden, because nobody's running the ship. He's off the clock. Don't ask him to do things, poors. You poor people are asking too much.
Never off the clock. Hey, I voted for this guy. Yeah, well, I won't again, of course. How about all the deaths in Gaza? How do you feel about that? Some are comparing you to Idi Amin and Pol Pot. What do you think? How many Arab lives is enough for you? 1 million? 2 million?
Okay, weirdo.
You're the weirdo. You support genocide.
Go Hamas.
There you go. I'm glad to know how you feel. How many Arab kids is enough for you, Senator Fetterman? No, I just want to know. Your constituents want to know. What's your red line?
This is devastating. Oh my God, you're just a bad man.
Rupert Fellows, Fetterman has a good rear neck roll. I won't debate you on that one. I think you're spot on. but get up and go see the White House counselor. I don't know where you learned to be mean like that, but go speak to the White House counselor and you tell her what you just said. Shame on you. Shame on you.
Will you ever support an arms embargo against Israel? What will it take? If they use nuclear arms?
Ravina, Denver. Funny. Now get up and go see the White House counselor. He has a nice ass in the front. He has a front butt.
People just want to know what you think.
But there's another person. Now, I found this to be very fascinating. And it kind of reminds me a little bit of Aussie herself. Just a little bit. So in 2018, Sharice Davids was the first openly LGBT Native American to be elected to the U.S. Congress. By 2024, she was voting to send more bombs to Israel, Ukraine, and Taiwan. All my heroes killed colonizers. Oh, you hypocrite. See, Heartland's media has had its fair share of run-ins with a lot of activists and organizers, you know. And I've seen a lot of people who eventually even got into politics. And my goodness, how much have they changed? You see, while I do believe in the right for free speech and protesting, I just remember those 4 years, 2016 through 2020. Oh, a lot of people were talking a big game, but as soon as Biden got in, go to sleep. Or, hey, I got elected into office. And oh my goodness, it's like an Uno reverse card. Did they change? Did they change? Did they change? All my heroes killed colonizers. Davis was elected in 2018 and became the first Democrat to represent Kansas congressional district in a decade. She's the first openly LGBT Native American elected to the United States Congress, the first openly lesbian woman elected to the United States Congress from Kansas, and one of the first two Native American women, alongside Deb Haaland, to be elected to the U.S. Congress. She's also the second Native American to represent Kansas in Congress after Charles Curtis, who was Herbert Hoover's vice president. Well, who knew? Hey, you learned something new, even though it's from Wikipedia. David's currently the only Democrat in Kansas Republican-dominated congressional delegation. Wow. Isn't that incredible? To which, here she was being confronted. And she did a Christina Cinema by running to the bathroom. You may not remember this, but in some time, Heartland's media actually covered when some student activists were, questioning and confronting Christina Cinema. And one of her most notorious things was actually running to the bathroom. I wouldn't follow John Fetterman into the bathroom. He might make a morning dump so big it'll be considered a chemical warfare.
Oh my goodness, Sharice Davids. Sharice Davids, that is you, right? From Kansas? Sharice Davids, do you like my shirt? It says it's not complicated. It's colonialism.
Excuse me, do you mind?
I'm walking also. It reminds me of the shirt you used to wear that said, all my heroes killed colonizers.
Am I being petty here? Yes, I am. Because a lot of these activists, as soon as they get a hold of power, just like Cinema did, boy, do they change. Once they get that nectar, that sweet honey, that little bug of sugar of power and corruption and neoliberalism, boy, do they change. And this goes to my point. Evil and corruption comes in many forms. That's right, vote blue no matter who. I know you're triggered by Donald Trump. I know corporate media said Bernie bros are straight white males. But to be really honest with you, everybody, humans, all of us, have the potential to be good or evil. All of us. And corruption and evil comes in many forms. It's easy to look at the mustache-twirling villain in the shadows and saying that's the bad guy. But sometimes the greatest of villains hide in the light. And sometimes they wear a shirt saying, all my heroes kill colonizers. And yet, what are you doing supporting these wars? Huh? Why?
But now you serve colonizers, don't you? You voted to send more money to Israel, more money and weapons, right? In April, right? What's your name?
Boy, she said, "What's your name?" Because I'm gonna call my friend Hillary, and we're gonna make you shut up.
What's your name? I'm from the Midwest also. So you voted.
You don't have a name?
Do
you have a name?
My name's Beth. You voted to send more money and weapons to Israel. And last month, you gave Bibi Netanyahu a standing ovation, didn't you? If all your heroes killed colonizers, why are you serving colonizers?
Why are you wearing a
Sharice
mask
David?
and trying to get in her space? That's
I'm
kind
wearing a
of
mask because
ironic.
it's COVID. She's an elected official. She has constituents. The people want a ceasefire. Will you support an arms embargo? Will you support
Are
an
you going to follow
arms
me into the
embargo?
bathroom? That's a
Listen, you don't listen. If you listen, not to give free advice to these politicians because I think you're all are scumbags. But you keep moving. You just don't go ahead and go to the bathroom because then that's internet gold. You don't want to do a cinema.
inappropriate.
Excuse
me.
Excuse me.
Do you
actually
please just talk?
Yes,
Excuse me,
of
please give her some
course.
space. Please give her some space.
Will you
Okay?
support a ceasefire? Will you support an arms embargo?
Mastermind Hour says, "Are you going to hide in the shiter?" Well, what I have to say is, listen. Remember that scene in the first Jurassic Park movie? You know, the only good one. You know, remember when that guy ran out of the car and ran to the bathroom, and Jeff Goldblum's character said, "Hey, when you gotta go, you gotta go." Just because you gotta take a morning dump and you see a big wave of people question you or Tyrannosaurus Rex, doesn't mean running to the bathroom is the best thing to do. You know. Rewind that again.
You support an arms embargo. Will you support
Are
an
you going to follow
arms
me into the
embargo?
bathroom? That's inappropriate.
Excuse
me.
Will
Excuse
you
me.
support
Do
an
you
arms
please
embargo?
please just talk? Excuse me,
Yes,
please
of
give her some
course.
space. Please give her some space.
Will you
Okay?
support a ceasefire? Will you support an arms embargo?
You need to leave it alone.
Now, why is this important? Because while it is funny to laugh at these politicians, this is what's going on. More money. Hey, wow. Hey, look, our Congress people are working. More money is going to Ukraine. What about the American people? The hell with the American people.
First, right now we have to strengthen Ukraine's position on the battlefield. And that's why today I'm proud to announce a new $2.4 billion package of security assistance. I've also directed the Pentagon to allocate all the remaining security assistance funding that has been appropriated for Ukraine, period, by the end of my term, which is January 20. And this will strengthen Ukraine's position in future negotiations. Second, we look ahead to help Ukraine succeed in the long term. As you know better than anyone, as we said at the Washington summit, we have to support Ukraine in its path to membership to both the EU and to NATO, and continue to make reforms to counter corruption and strengthen democracy, which you're working mightily on right now. We have to ensure Ukraine has sufficient capabilities. I mean sufficient capabilities to defend against future Russian aggression. So I'm proud of the steps we've taken in our partnership on these fronts. Earlier this summer, we launched the Ukraine Compact with more than 20 nations committed to Ukraine's long-term security. And yesterday, with over 30 nations and the EU, we launched the Joint Declaration of Support for Ukraine's recovery and reconstruction.
There's a lot of big cities and small towns across the USA, red and blue states, that are severely impacted by lack of negligence and lack of care by our politicians, you know, representatives and congressional figures, U.S. senators. You know, here's the thing: people of Lahaina, people of East Palestine, Ohio, people of Flint, Michigan. Here's what you got to do, and all other small towns and big cities that are struggling economically because our infrastructure is falling apart and things are going south. We just got to rename every city in America Ukraine. And then I think we're going to get that money. That's what we got to do. Big brain tactics right there.
Some of it using Russian assets as well. And so with both these actions, we make it clear we stand with Ukraine now and in the future. We've got a lot to discuss, so let me close with this. These two elements are critical to how this war ends. Let me be clear. Russia will not prevail in war. Russia will not prevail. Ukraine will prevail, and we'll continue to stand by you every step of the way. So thank you for being here, and the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Mr. President.
By the way, Trump is set to meet with Zelensky as well. If you think the wars are going to stop, you're gravely mistaken. I do want to pull up this comment from GHU81 in regards to Charisse. Did Charisse do anything for her Native American community living in the third world conditions in the reserves, which the colonizers placed them in after stealing and murdering? I vote no. Listen, to quote Joe Biden in 2020, nothing's going to fundamentally change. I mean, come on, people. Let's start waking up to reality. Has anything changed? I'm going to vote no. N-O, no. Let's see. And also, GHU81 tipped $1. Happy Truth and Reconciliation Day from Canada. Well, much love to you, Canada. Much love to y'all indeed. But don't worry, nothing's going to change.
Mr. President, thank you for your strong support for the decision that are helping us protect Ukrainians as a whole. We deeply appreciate that Ukraine and America have stood side by side from the very first moments of this terrible Russian invasion. Your determination is incredibly important for us to prevail. Yesterday we had, as you said, we had a G7 plus meeting on Ukraine's reconstruction with more than 30 countries participating, and it was a truly helpful format. We must restore normal life, and we greatly value your leadership, Mr. President. We also have 26 bilateral security agreements with partners based on the G7 security declaration. We have a strong security agreement with the United States, and we are grateful for it, and we will fully implement it. And it's very important that we...
Come on, Trash Panda 82. Colin Zelensky to Becker King. Viserys from the first season of Game of Thrones was called the Beggar King. Come on. Now don't be slandering Viserys, okay? Viserys had potential. Viserys had potential. Controversial statement there.
Share the same vision for Ukraine's security future in the EU and NATO, and Ukraine is doing the unprecedented number of reforms on this path. Today we have a new support package.
Let's talk about what happens with that support package. I want to give it up for good friend of the show, Nick from RBN. I swear, man, there's so much I want to do still. I don't want to be vaporized. I really don't.
Is officially planning for a mass casualty event as they continue to escalate World War III against Russia. They confirmed that the mass casualty event will happen within this decade. This is just another example of how the ruling class in the West is completely crazy. Instead of simply advocating for peace and cooperation with Russia and China, the ruling class is planning on sacrificing us for their geopolitical gains. Alexander Sofre, the head of NATO Logistic Command, confirmed that they are currently working up a plan in order to handle the casualties that would result with a war with Russia and China. What's interesting is a big part of their preparation for World War III is preparing the armies and the population to be ready for war. What does that mean? This is a...
Listen, by the way, when a nuke goes off, that radiation doesn't go away. It stays around. And if you really want to ever see, if you do have the time, because things are going south real quick, you know, you might want to visit the Peace Museum in Hiroshima, and you'll see firsthand effects of what happens when an atomic bomb goes off. We have weapons now that make that one look like a firecracker. Okay? And yet, you know, a rational, good person would actually look at the board and be like, things are getting a little bit out of pocket here. Maybe we just go back a little bit and we talk. Sit down at the table. Sit down at the table and talk. Stretch it out. Feel good about ourselves. Nope. No bueno.
Exactly why the establishment has been pushing anti-Russia, anti-China hatred and hysteria. This is why the ruling class is censoring and even criminalizing voices who advocate for peace with Russia. This is why they banned RT. And you're not even allowed to hear from the Russian perspective in the West. This is why the Democratic Party brainwashed their base into thinking that anyone who advocates for peace with Russia is a Putin puppet. They've been prepping and preparing their population for war. The establishment will sacrifice us all if it means increasing their geopolitical power. People need to stop being convinced of fighting the battles of the ruling class.
So what can we take away from this? Well, our politicians are A-OK sending us to the slaughter. Our politicians are just fine with us, being starved out. And our politicians, by the way, again, folks, do you think Fetterman or anyone else is actually going to stick their necks out for us? Do you really think that those people, you really think that those people are going to want to help us out? Because no, they're not going to do that. All these politicians who run, especially on like Sharice Davis, she hits all the check marks. First openly LGBT Native American woman elected to Congress, great. But do you see her, putting on Caesar's cloak, grabbing a sword and shield and saying, "Follow me to battle"? Do you see Fetterman picking up a 249 saw and saying, "I'm going to lay down cover fire. Go ahead and advance"? You think these politicians are going to do that? No. So they're going to send more weapons to Israel and Ukraine, constantly poke China. And, we're reaching a point of no return. Already we're seeing Israel go after Lebanon, and there's already been reports of bombing in Syria now. I hate to say that we've reached a point of no return, but I mean, I do hope, I'm going to make a controversial statement here, but I do hope Trump is successful in, I don't know, bringing peace. But that's asking so much. I want to be optimistic here, but the powers that be have been foaming at the mouth for this war to happen for quite some time. And so now here we are, because we put our faith and trust into politicians who said they care about the social issues. Fetterman, he put on that mask, making himself look like a quasi Bernie Sanders. We had Sharice Davis, says all my heroes killed colonizers, but boy, lady, you're sure making your ancestors spin in their graves after what you've been doing, sending more bombs to Israel, Ukraine, and Taiwan. Okay, all right, I get it. Very complicated geopolitical map and everything, but maybe we don't have to do more weapons in war. I don't know. We've seen AOC stick her neck out for the Democratic establishment. Hell, and let's include all the fantastic Republican politicians. And you know what they all have in common? They're all profiting off the military-industrial complex. They all got their AIPAC babysitters. They're all connected to big oil. They're all connected. It's one big club. And you want to know what's going to happen when those nukes be a-flying and everything's being bombed? Well, they're going to be hiding safe in their little shelters. They're going to be fine. They're going to be okay. What about the rest of us? Well, us poor folks have to fight other poor folks. It's not a game about democracy versus oligarchy. It's not democracy versus tyranny. It's oligarchs versus oligarchs. And we're the ones that are being served up for supper. It'll be a feast of souls. And all those that will remain, those that would survive a potential war, if there are any survivors, they'll remember a time when we had civilization. Remember a time when things were plenty. But because we put our trust and silent obedience into these politicians, we gave the next generation dirt and ash. But it doesn't have to be this way.